Hello, my name is Ben Morgan, and in this tutorial, I'm going to teach you the basics of Python programming. And we're going to just go over the three different variables, or four different variables in Python programming. This will be not tied in to Blender. Um, this is just to get your feet wet, basically, in Python programming or programming in general if you've never done it before. So Python is what runs Blender, but Python in itself is a very, I'd say, pretty simple language. It has not as many things as something like C or Java has, not as many possibilities, but it really is fairly straightforward and fairly simple to learn if you have prior programming knowledge, or actually, if you're just getting into programming, it's not too bad. So, to program in Python, it's really easy in Blender. Blender has an internal console that you can basically you can write, and you can see the results of your code. So it's really easy to program Python inside of Blender. Um, that's what I use even when I'm not programming for Blender, if I'm programming in Python, because it's so simple. So um, to do that, as you see, I went up here and changed my window to scripting. I'm gonna add a new script, and I'm gonna write Python tutorial.py. And I save that in my scripting folder. Okay, so one thing you're gonna need if you're gonna program in Python is the terminal. And the terminal is basically the output window for Blender. And if you go to Window, Toggle System Console, on a Windows machine, you can get the terminal up. But if you're on a Mac machine, you're gonna have to be careful because, well, you're not gonna see this window tab right there. So you're gonna have to either Google how to get your terminal, or you're gonna have to. I think it's a way that you open Blender, but anyways, I'm sure a quick Google search would help you find that. I'm not quite sure how to do it on a Mac machine. So you're gonna need that terminal. Be careful when you're using this terminal. Don't X out of it. If you do, it's gonna close Blender and not save anything, and you're gonna be really upset. So, yeah, I've done that many times, and it's really annoying. So, okay. So, what are the basics of Python? Well, in math, you have variables. You'll have something like 5x equals 10. What is x? And you'll solve for x. X is 2. Okay, so if you want to do that in programming, it's pretty much the same idea. You have letters or names or words that represent a number or a condition or a decimal, or a word like a string, it's called. Um, and it's the same thing. So let's go ahead and do some coding. We're going to have a variable called int, and we're going to set it to 5, because 5 is an integer. Next, we're going to have a float value, and float is the name for a decimal, so we're going to make it pi, 3.1459. Yeah. Next, we have a boolean, boolean, I think that's how you spell it, and we're going to set that equal to true. So these two have been pretty straightforward, but booleans can get kind of confusing. Basically, what they are true and false statements. You'll say, okay, while this is true, do this. Or if this is false, then do this. Or if this is false, don't do this. So booleans are very useful. They're true and false statements that can be changed, or yeah, they're very useful. Next, we're going to do a string, and we're going to name this string hello. Basically, a string can be declared like that with double quotes or single quotes. I find that it's easier to do double quotes, because sometimes you'll find that you need, if you're doing single quotes, you'll have something like print out its value, where that's actually not even the right use for it's, let's see. It's a nice day. Okay, so you want that to be your string, but you'll see that the single quote is messing everything up because it thinks that's what your string is going to be. So if you do double quotes, everything's fixed. So I find, just in general, just do double quotes. It's easier. Okay, so that is the basics of variables. Now, what can you do with those variables? Well, you can do a lot of things. You can check if they are true or not. You can check if 5 is indeed 5. You can add those variables together, and actually, let's do that right now. So we'll have sum equals int plus float. Okay, so that's going to add 3 plus 3.1459. Okay, so now, say we want to see the result of this. We want to see what 5 plus pi is. Okay, if we want to do that, we do something called a print statement. And a print statement prints out actual text in the console that we had created, and it's how I don't know everything's done basically. You just do print and sum, right? No, you can't do that. You can't print out an integer or a float. You have to do a method. So this is your first, first method that you're gonna have to get familiar with. It's pretty easy. It's called str, and you're gonna put sum in little parentheses right there. Okay, so that's gonna convert this value, the sum, into a string value, because the print statement can only print out strings. Simple as that. And basically, a method, this str method, it's basically something that is built within Python that a user can access and doesn't have to write. So it's just a series of code that it's one placeholder. This is placeholder for a lot of code that is going into converting that integer into a string. So let's see what happens when we run this script. When we print out integer plus float. Run script. Bring up our terminal, and you'll see that we have 8 point all this. Okay? And it looks like that 0.00001 because you're adding an integer plus a float. But if we careful, see there, I almost X'd out of it. If we converted this integer value, I know it's not going to live up to its name, but if we made it 5.0 and we click run script, okay, it gave us the same result. So that actually didn't change anything. But it's like that 0.00001. Well, actually, never mind. That's just because it's 5.9. Oh, wait, no, that's not right. Yeah, that's just because you're adding an integer with a float and it's rounding like that. I think that's why. I think that's the exact answer, actually. But anyways, that's how you do that. You can also print out the string that we made. So we don't have to convert this one to a string because it's already a string. So we just print string and run script. It's a nice day is printed out. Okay, and you can also, I'm not sure if you can print out booleans or not. Let me see if you can. We'll probably have to convert this to a string. So print str boolean. Let's see what happens if you do this. I've never tried this before. True. Okay, so it prints out it prints out the string value of boolean. So even though true isn't necessarily a string, it makes it a string. That's cool. Okay. So that's the basics of variables. There are many things, many things, obviously, that you can do with variables, and we'll go into that in a future tutorial. But yeah, I hope this was a useful tutorial. I hope you learned something about programming in Python, and if you did, leave a comment below or subscribe if you want to. Thank you.